Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we got something new, and it is my top 10, my first top 10 that I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start doing top 10s here and there. I'm not sure exactly what day just yet, I haven't decided, but today is going to be a top 10 of my favorite scary movies, horror movies, whatever, however you want to call it. So before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you do not have a YouTube channel, it is okay. You can still subscribe. All you do is go to google.com and make an account. It's free. Make a Google email, Gmail, and it takes just a couple seconds, and then you make it, and then you can come back and subscribe. And if you like this video, and if you like this new little concept I'm doing, give it a thumbs up, and please leave a comment letting me know if you agree with any of these choices that I have for you today. So let's get into the very first one. I'm going to go from 10 to 1. 10 being the worst. Well, not necessarily the worst, but my least favorite, all the way up to number 1, which is my number 1 favorite. So, let's get started. The first one is, see if I can show this to you, Cloverfield. And this movie I saw in the theater when it came out, and I loved it. I thought it was a really good movie, but well, at the time when I saw it in the theater, I was blown away with it because I didn't knew nothing about it. I never even heard of it, and I went with my nephews and saw it, and they just told me that we're going to see a movie called Cloverfield, and they asked me if I wanted to go. So I said, yeah, let's go. Never heard of it, but okay. And so we went there and watched it, and when I saw it for the first time, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was really good, but over time, since I've seen it so many times now, it's become probably my least favorite because it's not very realistic. I mean, they tried to make it realistic, but it's not very realistic, if you really want to be honest. But I'm not going to talk about the movie. I'm going to do a review on that another day. So be on the lookout for that. Today is just about the top 10. So, anyway, but don't get me wrong. It's not a bad movie. It's just not one that's on the top of my list. So, moving on to number 9. Y'all are going to be surprised when I show this, because this is one of the classics, and it is the very first Halloween. I don't know how this lighting is showing up, but hopefully it's showing up pretty good. But yeah, Halloween 1 from 1978, and it's not that I dislike the movie. I don't dislike the movie whatsoever. In fact, I said in my Halloween 1 review that it was one of my favorites, which it is. It's just not at the top of the list, and the reason why it's not at the top of the list is because as much as I love the movie, it's still kind of slow. It's very suspenseful, which I like suspense, but the movie doesn't really reach out and grab me when it comes to favorite movies. You know, it's a good movie, but it's not one of my favorites. As far as being in the top 5. Now, let me clarify on this top 10. Now, these movies that are in the lower, they're not movies that I dislike. No. I like all these movies. It's just I like them less than I like the ones in the top 5. So let's get to the next one, which is number 8. And it is Friday the 13th, the first one, uncut. Now, Friday the 13th, I watched for the very first time when I was about, I don't know, 12 or 13. And I watched it and I almost fell asleep. I mean, I really did. It was so slow. It was kind of boring. There wasn't much really happening. Watching a movie of that when you're that age, in my opinion, you know, you need something to keep your attention, and this movie for me did not keep my attention. In fact, I think I turned it off in the middle of it, actually. But over the years, I have actually grown to love the movie. But it's still slow, and it's still kind of boring at times. So, you know, it is what it is. But still a good movie. So number 7 is Halloween 2019. Now, a lot of people like this movie, a lot of people dislike this movie, and that's all good. I'm going to do a review on it one day. I'm not sure when, but we'll do one soon. But I like the movie. Jamie Lee Curtis was in it. She did a great job as usual. I have yet to see a movie that she wasn't good in. It just wasn't. It wasn't exciting for me. It was just, okay, I'm just watching another Halloween movie, basically. You know. But it was still pretty good. But it wasn't horrible. And that's why it came in at number 7. Go check it out for yourself if you haven't seen it, and you make your own predictions on it. But me personally, I mean, like I said, I didn't think it was a bad movie. I just didn't think it was that exciting. So number 6 is another classic, and it is The Shining by Stephen King. When I first saw this movie when I was a kid, it scared me. Honestly, it really did, because I wasn't really familiar with scary movies at the time, and I just happened to come across it, and it was like on HBO or Cinemax or something, I'm not real sure, but I come across it, and I think I maybe watched a few minutes of it, and I had to turn the channel, because it was just, for me at that age, it was just too much. So, but I love Jack Nicholson in it. He does a great job. Over the years since I've watched it, it's really grown on me as well. Jack Nicholson does a great job. The girl in the movie who plays his wife, I forgot her actual name, but she does a great job. I'm trying to think of her name in the movie. Wendy. Wendy is her name in the movie. I just can't remember her actual name in real life. She does a great job. She has to be emotional pretty much all through it, and she does just a great job. And the kid who plays Danny does a really good job for a kid that age, man. He's really talented. And I love the ending. Now, it was a little slow. You know, it is kind of slow at first. It kind of builds, and then the ending is what pays off for me. So that comes in at number 6. Number 5 is The Others, starring Nicole Kidman. If you haven't seen this movie, I recommend you go out and see this movie, because it's really good. I'm not going to talk about it at all. In fact, really debating on whether to do a review about it. If I do a review about it, there's going to be no spoilers whatsoever because this movie has a twist. And I don't want to give that twist away. And so it's just a phenomenal movie. It's really good. She lives in this house that looks like it's been built. Actually, they actually say the year that the movie takes place in it, and I can't remember. I think it's in like the early 1900s. And the house just, the house looks good, which the movie is centered around the house. That's why I mention it. And some crazy stuff happens. You have to go watch it for yourself. Check it out. It's very good if you hadn't already. And so let's get into number 4, which is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And this movie is probably one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies out of the whole series, which I'm going to do a top 10 of that, of all the Friday the 13th movies. I'm going to do a top 10 of that another day, in the order that I like them from least to best. And so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be doing that soon. But Friday the 13th Part 6 is one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies, and I just love how it's told. The story in it's really good. The look of Jason is good, although it does not compare to Part 7. I think Part 7 has the best looking Jason out of all of them. But Friday the 13th Part 6, I just love how the movie is done. It's just done in a really good way. And Tom Matthews, who plays Tommy Jarvis, is once again on his little journey to try to destroy Jason. And I don't know, it just feels like a camp movie. Like you would actually go to camp, and this could actually, this would be like one of the stories you would tell around the campfire. I mean, it just feels like a really good camp movie. So, recommend you check it out if you're one of those people who've lived under a rock for the past 20 or 30 years and has never seen them. So anyway, let's go to number 3. Number 3 is Sleepaway Camp, the first one. And this movie is really good. It actually has grown over time. I don't know how popular it was when it first came out because I was a kid back then. I never even knew about it back then. I didn't actually start watching Sleepaway Camp until probably I was in my 30s, which is pretty sad. Actually, I take that back. The very first time I watched Sleepaway Camp 3, I was 14 years old, and me and my sister and her boyfriend rented it one time from the movie store and watched it, and I thought it was pretty cool. I'd never ever seen a girl killer before, and Pamela Springsteen did a really good job as playing the Angela Baker character. And so that was the first time I saw it, but I actually forgot about it over the years, and then I ended up a few years ago renting. Oh, my background went away. Hang on a second. There we go. Sorry about that. So I rented it. I mean, not rented it. I bought it. I ordered it from Amazon. I ordered the first one and watched it and loved it. I was like, whoa, man, this is really good. Actually, the first one is the best. The second and third one, they're just cheap knockoffs, to be honest. I mean, they could have just made the first one and been fine. But it's basically the first one. It's about Angela Baker, and she's a kid, and she goes. Her and her cousin, I believe, goes to this camp, and I can't remember the camp's name. I think it's Camp Arawak, and people start getting killed, and you don't know who it is, and then the ending is the big payoff, and you have to actually watch that one for yourself, because that one, the ending, will blow your mind. So number 2 is Pet Sematary. The first one by Stephen King. Pet Sematary was another movie I watched back when I was a kid that scared the pants off me. Not literally, but scared me to death. I watched it on TV back in the day, back when I was a teenager, and it was one of those movies that just gave me nightmares, because the whole thought of it, you know, someone coming back from the dead after you buried them and they're just as evil as can be, you know, really did it for me at the time. And but now it don't really bother me now. In fact, I'll watch it and it's just like, oh, okay, well, it's still pretty good, but it don't affect me like it did back then. But the one person in the movie that really, I think, scares everybody, from what the reviews I've seen on this movie have been, the one person that probably scares them the most, from what I've heard, is the sister of the guy's wife in the movie. Her sister has like meningitis or something, I don't know, and she's like the creepiest thing ever you've seen on screen. I mean, it's something. But very good movie. Stephen King. I've never read the book. I'd like to one day, but right now I have not. But definitely recommend you go check it out, because, you know, the book or the movie, whichever, they're both, from what I've heard, the book is good. From what I've talked to people who have read it, and it is good. People say that the book is scarier than the movie, but I don't know. But you go check it out and see for yourself. And number 1 is Friday the 13th, Part 2. And the reason why this movie got number 1 in my top 10 was because this was the very first scary movie I ever seen in my entire life. Very first one. I was 9 years old, and my sister rented it because she wanted to see it. And I was dumb enough to sit in the living room with her and watch this movie, and for nights I could not sleep. This movie scared me big time. I had never ever seen a scary movie whatsoever until that moment. And Jason scared me big time. And I laugh about it now because, you know, it's nothing now. But back then, for me, it was scary. And these movies, actually, compared to today, these movies aren't scary whatsoever. The Friday the 13th movies, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, the Halloween movies, they're not scary anymore, you know. But back when they first came out, they were scary. So that's why it came in at number 1. For that very reason. The very first horror movie, scary movie I ever saw in my entire life. And I have never forgotten it. I've never forgotten the feeling I had watching that movie. It was like I was scared watching it, but I wanted to keep watching it because I wanted to know what happened. And so that is my top 10. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully some of these movies were movies you liked as well. I'm going to do more top 10s in the near future. I got plans for those, different genres, different, I want to do I just want to do different types of top 10s. So be on the lookout for that. And again, if you enjoyed this if you enjoyed this top 10 video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment letting me know your thoughts on this video on my top 10, the movies I chose. Did you think I did a good job on choosing these and all this and that? And so just let me know. And again, subscribe if you hadn't already. And I will see you in the next video.